Welcome. So, in the lecture series of automation and robotics, today we are going to discuss joint notation scheme and work volume. So, let us just think that what is joint and why we apply these notations to the joint and what type of scheme is used. So, joint scheme is basically used for the robot joint, which is a kind of a mechanism that permits relative movement between parts of a robot arm. As we know that there are two types of manipulator. One is the closed link manipulator and the second is the open link manipulator. So normally we see the open link type of manipulator, and each link of the manipulator is connected with the help of joint, right? And we have to provide some relative motion between the joints or permit the motion to the joints so that the manipulator can move in a space. A robot arm can move in a space. So the joint of a robots are so designed it should be enable the robot to move its end effector along a path from one position to another as desired. Talk about the basic movements which are required for a desired motion of a most industrial robots are rotational movement, radial movement, vertical movement. So these are basically the basic movement which are required for a desired motion of most industrial robots. See, rotational movement enables the robot to place its arm in any direction on a horizontal place, right? So normally if we think about the manipulator, the lowest most part of the manipulator is its base, and at the base we have to provide the rotational movement, right? So this entire mechanism or the entire manipulator will rotate about its base, and we permit the rotation say up to say 270 degree or 300 degree, right? So this movement is about the horizontal plane. If we restrict the motion of the other links and we consider only the base movement, you will find out this the open chain of the mechanism will only rotate about its horizontal plane. Or you can say that if you see the trajectory of the end effector, you will find out this will be a planar motion and it will be parallel to the horizontal plane. The next motion is the radial movement. This motion is enabling the robot to move its end effector radially to reach distance point, right? So here we are increasing basically the degree of freedoms. So one is the rotational movement, the second is the radial movement where we can extend the mechanism just like your hand, right? So if you extend your hand, you will find out your knee will have another kind of movement, and your wrist or arm will extend its length about its uh, movement or about its knee movement, right? The same thing is happening with the robot manipulator also, so that in this case the end effector will move radially to the target points. And next is the vertical movement. Now in this case the robot is enabling to take its end effector to different heights. It means the end effector will move vertically. So there are three kind of motion which are combining together and permitting the degree of freedoms. One is the rotational, second is the radial, and third is the vertical. And you will find out the finally if you draw the trajectory of your end effector, this will be in the 3D space, right? So because the robot is moving horizontally, the robot is moving radially, the robot is moving vertically. So finally if you draw the trajectory of the end effector, you will find out the combination of these three movement, and it will be some sort type of a special mechanism. Now these degree of freedom in the robot permits, or these are independently or in the combination with others, define the complete motion of the end effector. Now, depending on the nature of this relative motion, the joints are classified as a prismatic joint and revolute joint. So prismatic joints are basically these, you can say that these are known as the sliding as well as the linear joint, and they are basically called prismatic because the cross section of the joint is considered as a generalized prism. It is in the shape of a prism, right? And they permit links to move in a linear relationship. So therefore, these joints having a sliding motion, and one body will slide on the another body like a mechanism. For example, if you consider your crank and slider mechanism, the slider mechanism is having a prismatic joint. So if there are two links which are where the link length is increasing, right, by sliding the one link over the another link, this is a kind of a prismatic joint. I think you have already studied in theory of machine that what is prismatic joint and what is revolute joint. But in the case of robotics, we should understand that these motions are very important to understand so that you can solve the problem of kinematics. Now next is the revolute joint. Revolute joint permit only the angular motion between links. So their variations are shown here, that the rotational joint, which is denoted by R, twisting joint T, and the revolving joint V. So rotation joints is basically identified by its motion or rotation about an axis perpendicular to the adjoining links. Now here the length of the adjoining link do not change, but the relative position of the links with respect to one another changes as the rotation takes place. So suppose if you consider your hand, right, your elbow will permit a motion, okay, and your hand will move in a radial space, or you can say that this will rotate like this. Okay, next is the twisting joint. So twisting joint is a type of a rotational joint, or you can say it is a kind of a rotational joint where the rotational takes place about an axis that is parallel to both adjoining links, right? So it is a kind of a twisting motion. Next is the revolving joint. Revolving joint is denoted by V, is another kind of rotational joint where the rotational takes place about an axis that is parallel to one of the adjoining link, and normally the links are aligned perpendicular to one another, and at this kind of joint. So the rotation involve revolution of one link about the another link, right? So we can see here these rotations with the help of these pictures. You can see the first picture where this is a completely translatory, or you can say that prismatic joint. So this is a fixed link, or you can say one frame of the robot, and this is a mobile link. So you will find out the relative motion of this link with this vertical link. Okay, so this is a one kind of a degree of freedom. At the end of this, you can say that end effector, you will find out this extended part of the end effector will also having may have the vertical sliding motion, or another kind of the uh, prismatic motion, right? So this A part is called as the robot. Next is RR robot, where you will find out there are three joints, and these three joints permit the rotation about its axis, so that if this is a fixed link, or you can say it is a fixed link with its base, so this link will rotate in anti-clockwise or clockwise about this point. Similarly, the second interconnected link will rotate about with respect to the previous link, or you can say the link 1, right? So it will also rotate, and this link also rotates. So there has a three kind of rotational joints, so that's why it is called as RRR robot. Next is, you can say that it is one is the twisting, and the second is the translatory or linear movement. So this is called as TL robot, translatory, sorry, twisting and linear motion robot, or you can say a kind of prismatic joint. So this base is having a twisting movement about maybe maximum up to say 360 degree. right? So this robot can move on the horizontal space very quickly, right? And then this link permits the linear movement, so therefore the link of this link will increase its length, right? So this can be used in the industrial robot. So these are the joint notations of the robot configurations which are normally used. Now the next article which is very important to understand is the work volume. Work volume is basically define the maximum reach of the wrist. Okay, so the definition wise you can say that the work volume, or it is also known as work envelope, of the manipulator is defined as the envelope or space within which the robot can manipulate the end of its reach. Like your hand, suppose if you fix yourself, right, don't move anywhere and try to move your hand, right, in a space and find out the maximum reach of your hand or the minimum reach of your hand. So you will find out one volume will be generated, or you can say one envelope will be generated when you rotate your hand in any direction with varying length or varying distances. And if you have to permit the motion of your different joint, for example your first is the ball and socket, or you can say that your elbow, then second is your fingers, and your wrist also. Your wrist can rotate having a, so that if you try to understand the degree of freedom of your hand, you will find out it has a very good flexibility, excellent flexibility, and more than 30 degree of freedoms. Right now try to understand that what kind of motion you can achieve with the help of this robot. But since we have already discussed in our previous lecture, as you increase the degree of freedom, the controlling problem will also increase, the mechanism will be more complex, because as you increase the degree of freedom, you have to control the degree of freedom. Each degree of freedom you have to control, right? So the controlling will be more complex. So therefore the work volume is determined by the number and types of joints in the manipulator, which is so called as a body and arm and wrist, right? So this is basically a kind of you can say that the type of joints and the degree of freedoms. And the second is the range of the, what is the range, maximum range, minimum and maximum range of the various joints, this we have to count here. And the third one is the physical sizes of the link. Physical sizes means basically we have to consider the length here, right? So if the initial length of any link is less, it's you can say that its reachability will decrease. So we have to consider the combination of the link, right, and find out the maximum volume should be generated by the robot. Just like your hand, if you rotate your hand in a space, you can find out a work envelope and the work volume. Okay, now so let us try to understand here with the help of this systematic diagram of a welding robot, right? This robot is in our lab also. You can see here that I just want to explain this robot to understand. This is a fixed base, right? So this is a fixed base and its axis is vertical, so you can get its twisting movement at joint A. So joint A is having a twisting movement. Now here we have one more joint which is controlled with the help of a motor. You can see here this section is denoted a motor placement, and this is a motor which is providing the rotational movement at joint B. And joint C is also controlled with the help of a motor. Here one motor is given with the help of a gear mechanism, so that you can control the joint C. So joint C is also a rotational movement. And then next is the joint D, is another joint which is having a type of a rotational or twisting movement here, right? Or at this point you will find out the next joint is joint E, which is a wrist joint. Okay, so this wrist can move in this direction, in upward direction, and rotate in downward direction. And joint F is also considered here because its joint is also having a twisting moment, right, or turning type of operations. So at the end of this wrist, you can place the tool here. Maybe it's a welding tool or any kind of another tool. And because we have to permit some motion at this joint also, so that we have to use the turning operation here, right? So this is a open link mechanism. This link is fixed here and the last joint is free to move in a space, right? So therefore, if you consider the flexibility of this entire mechanism, you can find out its work volume. So here in this table I have just mentioned here the position and the axis of the joint. So point A is axis 1, B is say axis 2, axis 3 and axis 4 and axis 5 at joint E and axis F, because we have to define the axis to consider the rotational and twisting moment at their respective joints. Okay, so here we have to see that this is the work volume, or you can say the maximum reach of position of the manipulator, right? So you can find out that I have traced here this the movement of the end effector at the joint. So therefore it can move in this direction. So therefore let us consider position 1, okay, position 2, position 3 and position 4, like this you can draw here, and you can find out the maximum reach vertically up, horizontal reach and the radial distances. So therefore you can find out the radial as well, horizontal and vertical. So when you consider all these maximum distances, you can find out the work envelope. So this is a work envelope. And in our previous discussions, I have already shown you some work envelope for the different type of links or joints. These can be used, right? So thank you very much.